Richard, can you please tell us about day one in your class and what is expected of the students, what is covered, and what's the main idea that you're trying to establish in their minds?
Boy, that's a lot of questions. When you say my class, I teach one class every quarter. I've taught it over 100 times. But I also do teach, we're on the 3-quarter system. We have 3 10-week quarters here at UCLA, as opposed to the more traditional 2 semesters per academic year. So instead of teaching if I teach a course every semester, it's really every quarter. So instead of 2 times a year, it's 3 times. I also do teach once a year a big lecture course, which is a rare film course at UCLA, and that anybody who, even if you're not a film major, anybody on the campus can take that class. But I'm going to assume that we're really talking about and that's the fundamentals screenwriting lecture, just explores the basic issues that lie underneath screenwriting, and it's just a 2-credit course, 1 hour a week. So I'm going to assume that by my class, we're really talking about the 434, which is the graduate number in the catalog for an 8-credit screenwriting workshop. It's the class I'm going to teach tonight. There are 8 writers around the table, and that's significant that we keep the numbers low so that the university and the department and the school and all of the economic pressure and all of the heartache over budgets and so on, they've protected us, God bless them, because it's essential that there just be 8 writers in that class so that there can be good exchanges among the writers, but also between the writers on one hand and the teacher on the other. And that's just a 3-hour round table that meets once a week for 10 weeks. And what I want the people who show up the first day is I don't even want to call it an idea, a notion what the script is going to be about, and to tell me and the other people around the table in 2 or 3 or 4 sentences or 2 or 3 minutes, which is longer than it ought to take, to tell me tell us essentially what you're going to write about. If the movie were Jurassic Park, I would say this scientist discovers that trapped in amber, from thousands of years ago, are mosquitoes that bit dinosaurs, from which you can extract the DNA, of the blood that they left behind, and create dinosaurs. And so somebody creates an actual theme park, an island off the Pacific in somewhere in the Pacific that is kind of a theme park, a dinosaur theme park, but with live dinosaurs from years ago, and all of the complications that ensue. That's what we would do that night. And we would analyze broad notions, and again, everybody, it's not just the professor, but it's a robust discussion with everybody pitching in and talking about the potential pitfalls, but potential strengths, and so on. Everybody does that. That takes up the first night. Then thereafter, for the next 4 nights, twice in each of the sessions, a student takes an hour and a half first to tell her or his story in detail. This happens, that happens, that happens, this happens, this happens, that happens, that happens. Not every single detail, but to take a good 15 to 20 minutes to walk you through the movie, describing the actual incidents and anecdotes and events that constitute the story, that constitute the plot. And then there's discussion all about that then the students will all comment. I will keep quiet. And when they're all done, I will comment, and I'll also comment on the comments. And that eats up the next 4 sessions. By the way, we have 8, 9, 10, even 11 or 12 sections of this class offered every quarter with different instructors. And what they all share is that it's all about writing the feature-length screenplay. But otherwise, everybody does it differently. And we think that's really important because it compels the writers to find their own voice and their own methodology and their own style and their own personality on the page, rather than to model themselves over a particular mentor. Again, an authority who knows the answers. Week 5, everybody hands in their pages at the end of the session, and I read them very, very carefully and annotate them. I make notes on them on each and every page. And then week 6, we meet not as a class but independently, right here in this office, one-on-one. It takes more than the 3 hours that the class is scheduled. It takes much of the day, but we work out a schedule, and I'll review the as much as they've handed in. You know, some will have handed in only 6 or 8 pages, others will give me 40, 50, 60 pages. Whatever they've handed in, I will have read during the week, made notes upon, and then we will be discussing that in very, very close, substantial, intimate detail. The next 3 weeks, which starts actually started last week, we're doing table readings, the first 5 pages of the script, really examining the script up close. It's kind of like going into an art gallery. You can look at the painting from the entrance of the gallery, you know, see the whole shape of the thing. But if you're a serious artist or an art lover, a scholar of art, a student of art, you might eventually come right up close to that canvas and look at the individual brushstrokes and so on. So that's what we're doing kind of in the class, and we can extrapolate certain principles very effectively from the context that they're in. You know, if there's an issue involving parentheticals, for example. Parenthetical is, you know, usually an adverb between parentheses under character's name, directing the character as to the way the line should be delivered. And I'm against that. I noticed that Shakespeare managed to stumble through 36 or 37 plays without any parentheticals. It never says melancholy. So let's say we see in that context somebody has some parentheticals. Well, we'll discuss parentheticals when they are appropriate, and sometimes they are, but it's rare. Why they get in the way, and how they address the issue we were just talking about, the collaborative nature. Maybe the actor has, you know, a line that you think might be delivered very effectively this way. It might actually play much more effectively flat and quiet like this, with the emotion therefore being implied by the artist, inferred by the listener, and the terror, you know, the emotion taking place in the head, where all art should play, which is in the head of the viewer. You know, not just video games and computer games are interactive. All art is interactive. Here's the most interactive art of all, reading. I mean, you know, here's ink on the page, and you look at this and somebody's mind, you know, and images and sounds, and if it's done well, aromas and other kinds of sensations emanate from that. So that's a long-winded answer to your question. Sort of like, what is that is our bread and butter class. Every writer in this program takes that class at least, I think, 4 times. Ambitious students take it 7, 8, 9 times. I think somebody once somehow managed to take it 11 times. I don't know how he did that. But that means you end up with some scripts to throw away. You know, every writer needs to use some scripts to find her voice, and also you have to learn how to not become too attached to what you do. I can't tell you how many times I've had to explain to people, it's just a movie. You know, it's just a movie. People get really kind of suicidal sometimes over some of the issues that arise. So that's sort of the way. I don't know if that effectively answers your question. I hope it kind of stumbles that way.